6th Standard, Term 2, Geography, Unit 1, Resources. Pathway. This lesson focuses on the meaning, classification of resources, and conservation of resources for sustainable living. It also provides an insight to the various economic activities, and in particular, it deals with the interrelation between the nature and human activities. Kurali was lying in her bed to see if her father would enter her room. She wanted her report card to be signed. There was no symptom of coming of her father. She jumped out of her bed and ran to her mother in the kitchen. Kurali, Amma, where is Appa? Amma, today he has overtime and he has left early. Kurari, overtime? What is that? Amma, working more hours than the actual working hours is called overtime. Your father's boss wants him to manufacture a few more solar panels because they have some urgent orders. Kurari, he should have told me last night. My progress report has to be signed. Amma, enough of that. Now go have your bath. I'll sign your report this time. Kurari, Amma, thank you, Ma. One more question. What does he make the solar panels from? Amma, let me explain for you to understand. Silicon, extracted from sand, a natural resource, is used in making PV cells. It converts solar energy into electrical energy. Kurari, natural resource? What do you mean by it? Amma, all things useful to man is resource, and if it is directly from nature, we call it natural resource. Kurari, then what kind of work does father do? Amma, he is a manufacturer of things by using natural resources. Kurari, can we call the manufactured goods as man-made resources? Amma, yes, they are called as man-made resources. Kurari, okay Amma, it's getting late. Let me get ready. Resources is anything that fulfills human needs. When anything is of some use, it becomes valuable. All resources have value. The value can be either commercial or non-commercial. Commercial resources have great economic value. Example, petroleum. The non-commercial resources are very abundant in availability. Example, air. Resources can be natural, man-made, and human resources. Types of resources: natural resources, man-made resources, human resources. Natural resources, primary. Example, hunting, forest. Man-made resources, secondary. Example, sugar factory, road. Human resources, tertiary. Example, schools, scientists. Based on origin, biotic. Example, trees. Abiotic. Example, water. Based on development, actual. Example, lignite. Potential. Example, wind energy. Based on renewability, renewable. Example, solar. Non-renewable. Example, coal. Based on distribution, universal. Example, water. Localized. Example, kangaroo. Based on ownership, individual. Example, house. Community. Example, pond. National. Example, river. International. Example, ambergris. Natural resources. All resources that have been directly provided by nature are called natural resources. The air, water, soil, minerals, natural vegetation, and wildlife around us are all natural resources. The use of any natural resource depends on the place it is available, the form in which it is available, and the technology necessary to avail it. Classification of natural resources. Natural resources can be classified into different groups depending on origin, development, renewability, distribution, ownership, etc. On the basis of origin. On the basis of origin, resources can be classified into biotic and abiotic resources. All living resources are biotic resources. Plants, animals, and other microorganisms are biotic resources. Abiotic resources are non-living things. Land, water, air, and minerals are abiotic resources. The biotic resources were mere substance till they were recognized by humans. According to the human needs, the substance were collected by the ancient men and preserved for use. In the beginning, man had only three basic needs: food, clothing, and shelter. He collected things through primary activities such as hunting, food gathering, fishing, and forestry. Later, when food became scarce, they had to cultivate, and that became agriculture, and the cattle were also reared on their farms to fulfill their basic needs. The abiotic resources were also sought after by the early men. They went in search of better landforms where they had enough water resources for agriculture and their cattle. They were in need of tools right from hunting to agriculture. Primarily, the tools were only made of stones. Later, man dug the earth for better abiotic resources and found copper first and iron later. He also mined precious metals simultaneously for making ornaments. Later, mining became one of the leading primary activities and still holds an important place among the economic activities. On the basis of development. Based on the level of development, resources can be divided into actual and potential resources. Actual resources are resources that are being used and the quantity available is known. Example, coal at Neyveli. Potential resources are resources that are not being used in the present and its quantity and locations are not known. The technology to extract such resources is also yet to be developed. Example, marine yeast found in the Bay of Bengal and Arabian Sea. On the basis of renewability. On the basis of renewability, resources can be classified as renewable resources and non-renewable resources. Resources once consumed can be renewed with the passage of time are called renewable resources. Example, air, water, sunlight. Misuse of such resources can also limit its available quantity, so they have to be used wisely. The resources which cannot be immediately renewed once they are depleted are called non-renewable resources. They become exhausted after use, and the time they take to replace does not match the life cycle. Example, coal, petroleum, natural gas, and other minerals. The resources which cannot renew themselves are either scarce or totally absent. So, man is in search of new resources and is conducting several researches. He confirms that a substance is a resource only after research. He tries to harness it and also searches the region where it may be found in. They are potential resources. Wind energy is one such example. The places where the wind can be utilized are still unknown. On the basis of distribution. On the basis of distribution, resources can be classified into localized resources and universal resources. When resources are present in specific regions, they are called localized resources. Example, minerals. Some resources are present everywhere. Such resources are called universal resources. Example, sunlight and air. On the basis of ownership. Based on ownership, resources can be classified into individual resources, community-owned resources, national resources, and international resources. Individual resources are resources privately owned by individuals. Example, farmland. Community-owned resources are resources which can be utilized by all the members of the community. Example, public parks. National resources are resources within the political boundaries and oceanic area of a country. Example, tropical forest regions of India. International resources are all oceanic resources found in the open ocean. Resources found in this region can be utilized only after an international agreement. Example: ambergris. Man made resources. Natural resources are modified or processed by technology into man made resources. Example: sugarcane processed to get sugar. All structures built by man can also be called man made resources. Example: bridges, houses, roads. This transforming of raw materials into finished goods is called secondary activities. Man's skill and ideas are the basic requirements for these activities. Human resource. Human resources are groups of individuals who use nature to create more resources. Though human beings are basically natural resources, we classify human beings separately. Education, health, knowledge, and skill have made them a valuable resource. Example: doctors, teachers, scientists. Tertiary activities are basically concerned with the distribution of primary and secondary products through a system of transport and trade. Example: banking, trade, and communications. The quantity and quality of institutions and organizations involved in making the professional decide the human resources of a country. Gandhian thoughts on resources. There is enough for everybody's need and not for anybody's greed. Mahatma Gandhi blamed human beings for depletion of resources because of overexploitation of resources, unlimited needs of human beings. So, conservation is very important. Resource planning, management. Resource planning is a technique or skill of proper utilization of resources. Resource planning is necessary because resources are limited. Their planning is quite necessary so that we can use them properly and at the same time we can save them for our future generation. Resources are not only limited but also they are unevenly distributed over the different parts of the world. It is essential for the production of resource to protect them from overexploitation. Conservation of resources. Careful use of resources is called conservation of resources. Resources are being used at a very fast rate due to rapid increase in population. So, natural resources are depleting fast. Wisely using resources can control the depleting ratios. Development is necessary without affecting the needs of the future generation. If the present needs of resources are met and the conserving of resources for the future are balanced, we call it sustainable development. Sustainable development can take place when the reason of depletion are identified, wastage and excess consumption is prevented, reusable resources are recycled, population is prevented, environment is protected, natural vegetation and wildlife are preserved, alternative resources are used. The easiest way to conserve resources is to follow the 3 R's: reduce, reuse, and recycle. Glossary. Manufacture, production, solar panel, a plate that can absorb solar energy. PV cells, photovoltaic cells. Localized, limited to specific areas. Universal, found everywhere. Open ocean, areas of ocean that does not belong to any country. Depleting, reducing. Conservation, saving for future use. கேடறிய கெட்ட இடத்தும் வலங்குன்றா நாடென்ப நாட்டின் தலை. குறள் 736. எந்த வகையிலும் கெடுதலை அறியலாம். ஒருவேளை கெடுதல் ஏற்படினும் அதனை சீர் செய்யுமளவிற்கு வலங்குன்றா நிலையில் உள்ள நாடுதான் நாடுகளிலேயே தலை சிறந்ததாகும். Do you know? Anything becomes a resource only when its use is discovered. The needs of human beings are ever changing. According to the ever changing needs, resources keep changing. Time and technology are two important factors that determine whether a substance is a resource or not. For example, sun's energy to generate electricity was made possible after the invention of solar panels technology, and the receding of coal and petrol was in need of an inexhaustible resource time. Do you know marine yeast has greater potential than the terrestrial yeast? They can be used in baking, brewing, wine, bioethanol, and pharmaceutical protein production. Do you know tropical rainforests are called the world's largest pharmacy as 25% of natural vegetations are medicinal plants. Example, cinchona. Do you know ambergris is an extract from a sperm whale? A pound 0.454 kg of sweet smelling ambergris is worth $63,000 and used in perfume industries.